Hello guys, and welcome to another video. And yesterday, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe was revealed, which is a remake of the game on the Wii, and it looks really cool overall. I am a bit concerned with the price and the amount of content that it will have, but it definitely does seem like there is some effort put into it because it's an actual remake rather than just a port. And one thing that I liked and one thing that stood out to me is the new art style, because the characters have outlines and the shading is different this time, so I think it looks really cool, and it looked a little familiar, because this looked pretty similar to the cancelled Kirby games that were on the GameCube and Wii, like the two later ones in specific that led to the development of Return to Dreamland. So, if you didn't know about Kirby GCN as the fans dub it already, it was revealed at E3 2005 with the original version of the game, and there were two other versions of the game. So the first version had a camera system similar to Kirby 64, and enemies could actually join you, kind of similar to Star Allies, like 4 enemies or 3 enemies. And I think that was pretty cool. And Warpenite was actually planned to be a boss, and some of the background elements, such as music and different things, were actually reused or found in the files of Return to Dreamland. So overall, I think it's really interesting, and this one specifically, this version of Kirby GCN specifically, is mostly kind of what evolved into the final art style of the original version of Return to Dreamland, kind of a more 3D art style that you'd expect. And it kind of seemed like an evolution of Kirby 64, while basically being the foundation of Kirby's Return to Dreamland. So it's kind of interesting. It kind of ties a gap between the classic Kirby and the modern Kirby in terms of how it looks and gameplay, different things like that. And that's usually the version people refer to when they say Kirby GCN. But there is actually a couple other versions of Kirby GCN or Kirby Wii that were canceled before the development of Return to Dreamland, and they technically kind of eventually evolved into Return to Dreamland. So, shortly after E3 2005, the original version that most people are interested in when they look at Kirby GCN was canceled, and there were two other games. So, one was a 3D platformer, almost like Kirby and the Forgotten Land was eventually. And then there was also a 2D pop-up style game. It was just like a regular 2D platformer and everything, but the art style looked pretty distinct compared to other Kirby games. And both of them kind of had a cel-shaded art style, which is definitely what Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe resembles. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but it definitely resembles it because of the outlines and the cell shading and different things like that. I think it definitely resembles the canceled GCN and Wii games in between that original version from E3 2005 and Return to Dreamland. So I think that's pretty interesting overall, and it just looks really nice. I really like how they're kind of bringing back this idea, because it kind of seems like they're almost just bringing back this idea. I don't think it's necessarily a reference to those canceled games, because those canceled games really weren't supposed to release. They eventually evolved into Return to Dreamland. So I feel like this is just an idea being repurposed. Kind of like how earlier I mentioned the multiple enemies joining you was carried over to Star Allies, and then the 3D platforming was obviously evolving into Forgotten Land. So I think this is just another case of a canceled idea being used in a Kirby game, like actually used. And I really like that they're doing that. I think that's cool that one idea that they had a long time ago is finally getting a chance to be in the Kirby games and everything. So I really hope this leads to more canceled Kirby ideas eventually ending up in a game, because I know there's definitely a lot of things that are canceled from the Kirby series. Like there was a Tilt and Tumble game on the GameCube. That was really interesting. I know we have Dream Buffet, but I mean, this would be like a different thing if they ended up bringing back that style. And it's just really interesting overall how there's so many canceled things from the Kirby series overall. And another thing that I think is pretty unlikely, but I think there's still a chance. But I'd really like to see more Kirby GCN related content in Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Like, I think that would be really cool if they actually brought back unused levels, specifically from the older versions before Return to Dreamland and everything. Like, those 3 games, I think it would be really cool to see, like, some of the things, like some of the level ideas, and some of the unused concepts, like, in a separate mode. I think that would be really cool to see. Because, I mean, there's been similar things in the past. I mean, like, looking past Kirby, like, things that were canceled that ended up being repurposed to an actual thing, like, with Metroid Dread and Star Fox 2. I know Star Fox 2 is a completely different case of something canceled being repurposed, because that was an actual game kind of repurposed, but Metroid Dread was an actual game that was developed from a canceled idea. But I would like something kind of in between those two ideas. Like something, like maybe a remake of canceled levels and different ideas and different things. I think that would be really cool. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. And make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.